Hey everyone, welcome back to Heartway Farms. It is dinner time here on the farmhouse. A pretty typical Tuesday. We had a beautiful sunny day. I think the temperature got up to like 55 degrees, which is amazing for February, and just thrilled about the sunshine. But we did school this morning, chores, fed everybody lunch, and then headed out to exercise and work out at the YMCA. But now it's like 4 o'clock. Usually I try to start throwing dinner together between like 3:30 and 4, depending on what I'm making. And tonight I wanted to do another cooking from your stockpile video. These are items that we keep stocked up and ready to go for when nights like tonight come up to where I'm a little behind schedule and I want to throw together a good, nutritious dinner that everybody likes. And I will say this dinner is a little bit of a treat dinner. This is our spicy sausage and orzo soup recipe, as well as our homemade crusty bread. So let's get started. I already planned ahead a little bit and got the crusty bread setting up this morning when, I forget what time that was, Marie, I don't remember, but it doesn't matter. If you have a couple hours, if you have like 3 or 4 hours, you can whip up your crusty bread. That's the beautiful, beautiful thing about it. So, all right, we're gonna do that. So my plan of attack to try to get dinner on the table by a decent time is first, because we have our crusty bread set up, and this is so easy. So what you do is you take a bowl like this and you put, I have a whole video on it and we can link that here or put it down in the description. You guys can learn how to make it at home. This is one of our staple breads. Between our crusty bread and our sourdough bread, I don't know, we probably do both of those every week because they're so good. And our family, because there's 8 of us, we eat a whole loaf at a time. So one loaf, we're not gonna have leftovers. So usually we do 2. But for the crusty bread, if you have a few hours notice, you take your flour, your salt, your yeast, your honey, and your warm water. And like I said, I have a video teach you how to do it. You put it in a bowl, mix it up, cover it, and let it sit in a nice kind of warm spot for 3 hours or more if you need to. But that's like the minimum of what I try to go for. And then we're gonna do this next step, and it'll be ready to go in the oven once I put my my Dutch oven in the oven at 450 degrees, let it warm up, and then you have a beautiful loaf of bread for your dinner. We're gonna get the crusty bread ready to go in the oven, and then I'm gonna start on the soup. And then I think we're gonna do salad to get some greens in us. Julianne's been growing beautiful beet microgreens. They are so pretty. They are like the definition of fuchsia on the bottom. They're gorgeous. So, all right, I need some flour and some parchment, and we're gonna get this ready to go in the oven. Julianne, I forgot to mention, Jules is she's working on something fun. So she's throwing together, you just get a hankering for biscotti, is that?
Yeah, pretty much.
So, we were at the YMCA exercising. That's why we exercise, so that we can eat biscotti. But she got a craving for biscotti. So she's making our yummy, she makes like candied pecans and orange biscottis, and they're so good. We also have a video on that if you want to go back and check that out. I already mentioned this, but the beautiful thing about crusty bread is that it can be a quick homemade bread that you can get on your table in only a couple hours with very little effort. One of our other favorites that I mentioned was sourdough, which is also amazing. But the thing about sourdough is that we set it up the day before, and you get the best sourdough loaves when you let them have time to do a good rise. But like with this, I don't even need it. I don't even do anything crazy with it. Most of the time it's Marie doing this. Tonight I'm on crusty bread duty. And then I'm gonna set that there. I'm gonna wash up my same pan so I don't have to make more dishes. And then as soon as the oven preheats with the Dutch oven in it, then I'm just gonna put this in for 30 minutes and then let it crisp for another 5 if so easy. If you're doing sourdough, you're gonna plan ahead a little bit. It requires a little bit more work. It's so good though. I think sourdough is maybe, I don't know, they're equal. They're both my favorites. It's hard to pick. So anyway, I'm gonna get this bowl washed and then we'll move on to the soup. Okay. And this can sit here, I mean, for up to a couple hours if you need it to, but we don't need to. We want to eat it hot and fresh out of the oven tonight for dinner. So I'm just gonna let it sit here until my oven beeps at me and preheats, and then we'll be good to go. But let's get started on this soup, because this is, Marie, would you say this is our favorite soup?
Probably for sure.
Okay.
One of the favorites.
It's definitely one of my favorite. It tastes better than any restaurant soup I've ever had. And we've shared an Orzo soup recipe on the channel before. I like this one better than that one, even though that one is good. This one is better. And I believe the way it worked is that somehow my mother-in-law ended up with this recipe from one of my friends, but neither my mother-in-law or my friend remember this recipe or where it came from. So I actually don't even know where the origin is, and we've tweaked it to our liking anyway. So anyway, I'm going to share with you what we do and what we love. And this is, I don't make a lot of pork dishes, but this is one of those things where we use a nice spicy sausage. If you don't like spicy stuff, you can make this totally mild. But we like spicy with good flavor, and that's what this is. It's so good. And different cheeses and stuff. Things that we keep in the freezer, stock up on, chicken broth, all these things that we usually keep around the house to have ready, including Orzo pasta. Okay, we're gonna get started on our soup. We're still waiting for the oven to preheat with the Dutch oven, so we're gonna head over to the our big old soup pan. We'll eat this leftover all week. I mean, like all week. It's so good. So we're gonna heat up some oil. Let this get warmed up. And then for this recipe, and I'm giving you I'll be telling you what I do for our family of 8, and we like leftovers. So you might want to half this recipe for your family if you don't want to be eating it for a long time. Or freeze it and get it out of the freezer and enjoy it later. All right, we'll let that oil heat up. We're gonna come over and chop up 1 onion and throw a chopped onion. And I don't know, maybe 2 tablespoons of garlic. You can just do whatever you want. We like garlic, so. Okay, like I said, you can do 1-2 tablespoons of garlic. Whatever you guys like. That onion was vicious. I'm still recovering from the strong onion. All right, and I'm just gonna let this brown up and caramelize and get delicious. Okay, so we need diced tomatoes and we need chicken stock. You guys know that we raise our own chickens, or maybe you don't know if you're new here, but we raise our own chickens and we harvest them at least once a year, maybe twice. This year's gonna be twice. And down here is where we keep, not only do we put away our whole chickens, we love shredding it and keeping down here, or doing bone-in chicken and using that for so many of these cooking from your stockpile recipes. It's so awesome. I mean, we're chock full of tallow and all these good things. But down here we have our chicken broth, and I'm trying to use our chicken broth I'm still using chicken broth from 2020, y'all. It's still good, it's still fine, it's amazing. So, and then we keep on doing it. So we're gonna take this up. I'm gonna use 2 quarts today. I think the diced tomatoes are over here. We with all of our tomatoes this year, we just did sauce. I don't know if you can see that all back there. We just have sauce, so I buy diced tomatoes from Aldi. So, all right, let's go up. Hey friends, you have been asking and asking, and we have finally created cookbooks for all of you to enjoy. If you love cooking from scratch and baking at home and making good, nutritious food for your family, these are the cookbooks for you. Make sure you check them out, and we know it's gonna bless you as much as it's blessed us. Okay, our onions and our garlic, they look beautiful, they're ready to go. I like it super caramely, so that's good. We're gonna add in 500 grams of spicy sausage. If you don't have spicy sausage and you just have regular old pork sausage, even if it's sweet sausage, it will be good. You can use it. We can add spice to it later using crushed red pepper. But ours is spicy, so we need less crushed red pepper. Okay, our sausage looks good. Our sausage with our onion and garlic and oil. all ground up. It smells so good in here. Like, this part is the best part. It smells so good. But we're gonna go ahead and deglaze the pan and get our broth in here. So we're gonna open this up. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and put in 8 cups of broth. And this is because it's our homegrown chicken stock, I don't like to add tons of like flavor. There's a little bit of salt in this, but not seasoning and different things like that. So this is pretty basic, so I can use it in as many different recipes as possible, and we certainly do. So I'm gonna put this over here, but then we're going to add in some Better Than bouillon. And you can add regular bouillon if you keep that in your stockpile, whatever you have in your root cellar and your pantry. But I'm gonna add in, we do this to taste, so this is the part where you'll just have to decide for yourself. But I'm gonna put in, let's say, a good solid tablespoon of my organic Better Than bouillon vegetable base, okay? And then we'll taste it and I'll let you know if I'm gonna add more to it. We're gonna add in next some of our spices, so there's plenty of time for all of it to melt together and get delicious. So we're gonna add in some oregano. And we're gonna do about a teaspoon. Again, you can be flexible with this. A teaspoon of oregano. If you love oregano, put in 2 teaspoons, it doesn't matter. Around 2 teaspoons of basil. I love having fresh herbs in the nice weather months, but we didn't have any extra to dry out this year. So anyway, we're enjoying store-bought herbs right now and can't wait for nice weather and gardens to be able to have fresh herbs again. Okay, and again, crushed red pepper. You can omit this completely. We like it spicy and creamy and it's so good. I'm just gonna put in a little bit and I can add more in later if we need it. So, all right, we're gonna let that kind of come together before we move on to the next step. And I think we're ready to get our bread in the oven, so let's go ahead and do that. See all that steam? It's ready for our bread. Okay, here's our loaf of crusty bread. I'm gonna put it in there, cover it for the first 30 minutes, and then we'll take off the lid for the last like 5, 6, 7 minutes. Okay. Okay, again, in the summertime, fresh tomatoes are the way to go, but right now we're using the organic diced tomatoes that are pre-canned from Aldi, and we love having those in the root cellar to use for recipes like this. So I'm gonna add in around 28 ounces. If you have any picky kids, you might wanna use petite diced tomatoes so that it's easier to disguise them, like my Marie who's behind the camera who does not like tomatoes. But I don't have those, so I'm going to use what I have. Okay, so this has been coming together, heating up, coming to a simmer, and now I'm going to go ahead and add in our orzo so it can cook in here before we add in the creamy parts of the soup, which are like your final touches before you're about to serve it. So there's a cup of dry orzo that we're going to add in, and this takes, I don't know, like 10, 12 minutes to cook. So I'm gonna stir this though because the orzo does like to stick. So I'm gonna leave this in here, let the orzo cook completely, and stir it, you know, every minute or 2 just to make sure it doesn't stick to the bottom during the process of cooking. So. All right, our first round for the bread is done. That's 30 minutes and it looks pretty good and toasty. It's like almost ready. So I'm just gonna do like another 5 or 6 minutes, let it do that final toast, and then we'll pull it out and let it start coming down in temperature. crusty bread is hot out of the oven. It smells awesome, looks beautiful, is nice and crispy. Our orzo is cooked inside of our soup. I did forget to mention, you add salt and pepper at the end of this to taste. I can guarantee I'm gonna need a little bit more salt. But this has cheese, Parmesan cheese that goes into it. So I try not to add too much salt at the beginning and wait and taste it at the end. So, all right, we're ready to add in. We're gonna put in a half a cup of half and half. And this is where we want, this is why you wanna like pre-cook your orzo, because we're gonna turn down our temperature now, because we don't wanna like curdle our milk or anything. Add in a half a cup of cream. Okay. I'm gonna add in around a cup of Parmesan cheese. We like to save a little to put on top of our soup and salads. And then last but not least, I chopped up 2 cups, give or take, of organic spinach. I'm gonna add that in now. Okay, so we are so close to sitting down to eat. It's about 5:30. Our soup is done and beautiful. I added a little bit of salt and pepper, not much at all, and a tiny bit, maybe a half a teaspoon of our bouillon, again, or better than bouillon. So it is good to go. It is delicious, and I can't wait. Again, one of my favorite soups. The crusty bread is out. Marie's she's behind the camera, but she's going to cut that up for me. For some reason, she's the bread cutter always. I don't know why. I'm making the little kids some paninis to go with supper just because soup doesn't seem to fill them up all the way. So we've got paninis going, soup, bread. We've got some brie and fig jam, some salads already made up, and it's going to be an awesome dinner. So let's get it plated and on the table.